All right. So it is 2:05 Mountain Time. So we will get started. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We've got a pretty great presentation to go over with you guys. Some of you, we've had some one-on-one conversations about what this event is. So again, just thank you all for being here. Hang with us, as this is our first event we're doing like this, so there might be some tech things, but overall we are really excited about what we've got to talk about. So yeah, without further ado, we can get started. So just 1 second. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
10-4.
All right, perfect. Okay, so this event, just kind of want to give a little pre-intro to it. Really, we wanted to do this event because we've found that there is a need to make sure that people understand what it is that we've got going on, how it works, how the process works, and ways that they can get more involved and more information about potential opportunities, strategies that we have, services that we can promote, and then also how you guys can earn some money by making connections to the unicorn universe. We've built a pretty massive network of solutions and partners that can provide all sorts of various services. And so we won't get too much into those details today, but we just wanted to, kind of kick this off and let you guys know that we're focusing a lot on the connectors in our world and how all of that looks. So that being said, this is the Revenue Rainbow event. It is the roadmap to our pot of gold that is Unicorn Universe that we will get into some more later. So yeah, so connecting around the Revenue Rainbow, we're gonna have a chance for some introductions. Like I said, we're gonna go around. We wanna just have each person talk about who they are and what they do. And we'll have Michael Gray, who's our Chief Creative Unicorn, go through that with everybody. So yeah, without further ado, I will turn it to Mike for that introduction.
Hey guys, so I bet you guys all know that the shortest distance between people, between you and your customer, is a story. And so right now we're going to get a little connected. We call you guys our unicorns, and you're an elite group. Jonah has herded you over to us, and in most cases, and we really love we love the way you think and what you do. And so today we'd love to have you share that with other people within the herd, or what we call the blessing. So if you could just share your name, your company, or what you do. And then if you could also just answer this creative question, just so we can kind of break the ice. If you could have any one magical ability, what would it be and why? So I'm just going to start off with that. And so again, my name is Michael Gray. I am the Chief Creative Unicorn of the Unicorn Universe and one of its founders. And what we do is we create exponential connection for businesses and entrepreneurs. As far as my creative question, I would love to fly. And actually, I'm working on a really fun experience right now, helping and fund an experience called Jump, where you actually jump off a cliff in virtual reality and fly down a cliff. So if you're interested in hearing about that, let me know. And who could we start with, Daniel? Who should we start with today? Who can share their name first?
Well, I do think that we should give Daryl and Jonah and myself just a quick opportunity to give our intros, just so that, everyone here knows who we are. So yeah, I don't know, Daryl, if you want to go next.
Awesome. I am Daryl Sean Price. I am the business strategy unicorn here at the Unicorn Universe. I have been doing business consulting for about 2 decades now. If I could have any one magical ability, it would be invisibility. And that is because I love to know somebody at their authentic core. And if I'm invisible and they don't know I'm there, I get to know what they really think, not their best face that they put forward.
Cool. Love it. Jonah?
All right, my name is Jonah, and I'm the head unicorn connector. I know most of you
Oh, just cut out.
Jonah, you're muted.
He's being too creative right now. Isn't he?
My superpower would be super strength. That way I could lift everyone's problems and fix them pretty much. And also I just love to lift weights and I love to eat. So I feel like that's just something I've always wanted. And I'm just so excited to hear about everyone else. And that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you. So my name is Daniel Knight. I'm the Chief Executive Unicorn at Unicorn Universe. And if I could have one magical ability, I think it'd be time travel. I feel like I could accomplish a lot just by bouncing all over the place. So that would be mine. And I like to think that it comes with teleportation because I don't want to travel back to this spot. So double benefit. So I'll be happy to go through just in order of the images I see. There's only one person I'm concerned might not be able to speak, but we will fix that if that's the case. So so I guess next up, I'm looking at Brian Lifshitz. If you want to unmute yourself and give yourself a little intro, that'd be great.
Thank you for pronouncing it correctly. That is right. You heard it all here. Brian Lifshitz. I'm a creative myself. I like to think of myself as the idea guy. My brain never shuts off, got lots of ideas. And I know a couple of these unicorns here on the call today. Like Michael, excuse me, my magical ability would be flying, but it'd be flying, super fast. So I could be invisible if I wanted to. I could go back in time or I could go forward in time. I could do whatever I want because I'm flying.
Good point.
That's it. Done.
Awesome.
Dang.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right. Next up is David Hirschfeld.
I'm David Hirschfeld, founder of Techies software development company. We launch software startups. And if I had a magical ability, it would be to transport myself anywhere in the world instantly. Flying would be really fun, but just being able to go someplace with a snap of a finger, that would be fantastic.
Love it.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. Emmy Saavedra.
Yeah, my name is Emmy Saavedra. I'm the president of our company, the Champions Institute. So who we are is that we teach, train, and do consultations for B2Bs and business entrepreneurs inside sales, leadership, and management. And if I have magical power, supernaturally, I would like to be able to see God. I would love to be able to communicate with, the spirit realm, just so I get to know what is planned for me and what I can do to fulfill all my purposes and do it magically and powerfully and aligned with my divinity and destiny. So that's mine.
Love it.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you. Okay. Next, let's go to Seth Everts.
Hey guys, how you unicorns? How you guys doing? Seth Everts here. I am the owner of InZone Solutions. We do business development and project management, and we have a great time working with businesses, helping them find solutions and connect them with amazing people like yourselves too.
Awesome. Hey Seth, would you do me a favor real quick and see if you don't want to turn on your video, you don't have to, but I'm seeing it doesn't look like anybody else can. I'm curious if you are able to.
Oh, let me try. Yeah, I'll try. I had it off just because usually my audio works better with it off, but let me try.
Okay. Thank you.
No, not letting me do it. Nope.
All right. We'll get it next time. Thanks,
And
guys.
then tell us your superpower you want to have, your magical ability.
Yes.
I'd like the superpower of like knowing how to solve any problem. That'd be kind of an interesting one. Having a solution, being able to pop it right out and be like, yeah, that'll fix that. Oh, there you go.
Good deal. Very good. Okay. Next up, we've got Garrett Lamb. Welcome, Garrett.
How you doing, everyone? Garrett Lamb. I am with Outcode Software. We are a product-focused software development company. So we focus towards providing our clients ROI. If we can't provide ROI, then we're usually not a good fit, but that's the role we are really good at doing. So we do that through data analytics, business processes, and also custom applications. So I don't know if my camera's working or not. It doesn't give me the option, but wonderful to meet you all. And I think my superpower would have to be flying as well.
Good deal. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Next up, Ivan Yordovic, if you'd like to introduce yourself and correct me if I got that wrong.
You got it perfectly. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, my name is Ivan. I work for Westpac Wealth Partners here in San Diego. And we help business owners in IT get their finances straight. We can help them save a ton in taxes. Dan and I had a meeting last week where we explained macro pension strategies that can save anything from 250K to 1.2 million a year to businesses on taxes. So my superpower, I would say, teleportation. Yeah. I mean, why fly if you can teleport a zillion times in a second and fly as well?
Gotta be the breeze.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Next, let's go to Luke Thomas. Luke, you there? I think you're muted. Okay.
Hi, this is Luke Thomas with WaFed Bank. I am a business banker and I work with everything from the accounts to treasury management to lending under 1 million. And my superpower would actually be a native speaker in all languages.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
That's very clever. I like it. Cool. All right. And then let's go to Stephen Ross next.
Yeah, so Stephen Ross, I'm founding partner of Common Sense Financial and owner of All Things Indexed. And I help investors, real estate investors, business owners, and even regular individuals create their own banking systems to be able to help fund their different projects or to create retirements and different things for them. So, and my superpower that I would want is, I don't know how to really put it into words, but the power of perception, to be able to kind of see into someone's soul and to perceive what they're thinking, not to hear their thoughts per se, but to see where they're coming from, and but also to perceive future things, like as I see, opportunities or whatever, to know kind of how that turns out, to be able to make decisions, navigate life and other things, help other people with that too. So anyway.
Cool. Nice. I love it. Cool. Thank you. All right. And then we've got Kyle Prim. I think if you're back, then you've got a chance now.
Sir, I'm Kyle Prim. I'm the owner of Rubber Soul SEO, a digital marketing company that primarily focuses on helping small businesses get a better understanding of the Google infrastructure or web of services that they provide, help them understand exactly what it takes to be in the best practices realm of SEO. And then as a bit more of a technical aspect, I work on machine learning algorithms, and I'm trying to get some businesses started with those types of tools. So if I could have one superpower, I would say that I would prefer to put more hours on the clock if I could. I seem to work all day, and I still seem to not have enough time to get everything done. So yeah, putting a few more hours on the clock would definitely be a big boon to me.
You can figure that out.
Yeah, easy. With my AI, right? That's the whole point of the thing, right? I'll figure out that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
So I think that wraps it up. I don't think, let me just double check. Yeah, I think that wraps it up on the introductions for right now. So thank you guys. It's great to have you all on here, and We really appreciate it. So the next part of this is going to be led by Daryl Price. He's going to be talking about just creating valuable connections and some things that he's gone through in his years. And yeah, so I'll turn it to Daryl.
Hey, thank you. And thank you guys for being here. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page when we talk about what a connector is. And a connector is that person who is linking two people together in some way because it's a valuable relationship to make. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Daniel. So the heart of becoming a master connector is building a relationship of trust. One of the things that I noticed throughout the years of working with business owners is we all seem to do the same thing. We dehumanize the people we're working with. We do it, unfortunately, almost naturally. And we forget that we're talking to another person. So whether you're a business talking to an investor and you're trying to put your best foot forward, so you've got all your ducks in a row and you're wearing your best and you're only saying certain words a certain way, or you're talking to a customer and it's all about how do I close the deal? How do I close the deal? How do I close the deal? Or anyone in between, we have a tendency to forget that we're talking to a person first, not the label of customer or investor or partner or anyone else that we might deal with in business. So that relationship of trust where you connect person to person is what makes you a master connector and somebody that everyone's going to want to be a part of what you're doing. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So there's a concept I want to introduce you guys to, and it's called the strand of pearls. And this is something I try to do with every person I communicate with. Several of you that are here, I've had conversations with, and I hope that you've seen that I do a lot of this in the conversations I have with anybody, no matter who they are. But every time you meet someone, and it doesn't matter if it's in a business setting, it doesn't matter if it's in a grocery store, it doesn't matter if it is in a social gathering, every time you meet someone, you have a chance to add a pearl to your strand if you can do one thing. And that one thing is approach them with one goal only, to connect with them exactly as they are right now. No attachment to other outcomes, no judgments of what they might want to get out of this. Just the idea of, hey, this is another person I get a chance to connect with. And I'll tell you, I used to do a lot of teaching at different universities nationwide for job prep for people that were getting tech degrees. And I would give them the same advice when they go in for an interview. Don't show off all your tech stuff. Go in there and connect to the person behind the desk first. And it goes something like this. So let's imagine you're in a grocery store, you're buying all your groceries, you're going through the checkout line. And I'm sure you've had this conversation maybe 150,000 times in your life. The lady at the cashier or behind the cash register will say something like, "Hi, how are you? Fine. Would you like a receipt with that? No, thanks. Bye. Have a good day. You too." That whole conversation meant nothing to anybody. It really didn't. Because it's this trained thing we go through. And it's the roles we decided to play of you are cashier, I am customer, not person to person. But if you tweaked one thing in that conversation, if you went up there and, "Hi, how are you? Fine. Those are really nice earrings, Janet," because you looked at her name tag. You just connected to a person. The whole interaction from that moment forward is different. And it's not because you're trying to get anything out of her, but you noticed something about that person and connected with them on a personal level. And in fact, everything you need to know about being a master connector, you've probably already learned from being in a dating scene at any point in your life. Let's go to the next slide. Because really what you're doing is building a relationship, even in a business setting. You're building a relationship. So imagine, if you will, now how many of you, and obviously this is just going to be you thinking, because we don't need you all to unmute and just start saying yes. But how many of you think to yourself, have been to a networking meeting that goes something like this? You have some announcements, you have some people talking about cool events that are coming up. There may be somebody who does a little bit of a presentation, and then everybody walks around handing cards to each other. "Hey, who are you? What do you do? Okay, what are you looking for? Great, let's go to the next person." Well, imagine if we dated like that. Imagine if when you're in the dating scene, you go to this dance because, hey, I'm going to go where a bunch of people are gathered together because it's about time for me to find my significant other and my life partner. and I'm going to go walk up to the first person I see and say, hey, my name is Daryl. And in a spouse, I'm looking for someone who can cook, who can clean, who wants to have 3 kids and is ready to move to a farm when we're in our 60s. Is that you? Wouldn't go over very well. But yet we do that to people in business all the time. So I'm going to give you a couple pointers here. That first date, and I'm talking in business relationships, but it very much applies to dating as well. But that first date should be all about you getting to know them, whether or not there's somebody you want to have a further connection to. And the goal here is to make sure that that person is talking about 80% of the time. And here's a couple things I do all the time that helps me with that. Whenever I'm meeting somebody, and inevitably it's going to start with something that they're familiar with. You're not just going to jump in and break the ice in such a weird way that it gets them to wonder who the heck you are. I mean, you can, but as soon as you have that question of, oh, hi, my name is Daryl. So what is it you do? Oh, well, I build websites. There you go. There's that number 1 right there. Oh, you build websites? You've just repeated exactly what they said, gave them a sense of they felt listened to and understood, and the invitation to go deeper. And as they go deeper, don't hesitate to ask for more details. Don't hesitate to dig in and say, oh, how long have you built websites? What kind of websites do you build? Is it something you've always wanted to do? The more you get to know about them, the more you get to decide, is this somebody I want to go on that second date with? And whenever they do turn it to you to ask questions, answer the question, then hand them the talking stick right back. And I usually do that by turning it into a question about them again. So what business are you in, Daryl? Well, I'm in business development consulting. I've been doing it for about 20 years. So how long again have you been into websites? And how many small businesses have you built websites for? The more you get them talking, the more they're going to feel understood, and the more they're going to see that you actually care about them as a person. Okay, next slide. So that second date, now let me make something really clear. When I'm going through this model, I'm not meaning you have to have only this on the first time you meet them. It's the first date and stop. Let's set a new time for the second date. You might go through all of these in the same time you meet them, depending on how quickly that trust is built. But that's something you're going to do on a case-by-case basis. On the flip side, I have some very, very trusted friends of mine who I've done business with many, many times and will for the rest of my life, that it took me about 3 to 4 actually separate days of next dates to build enough trust to work together. So the next date is about building trust. First date is all about them. Who are they? Next date is about building trust. You build trust with anybody by getting to know what has their attention the most. So in business, it's what's your biggest pain point? What is your struggle? And whatever that struggle is, this is your opportunity to show them you understand and you get them. So for example, and this is going to be a common one for a lot of businesses. Oh, well, I really have a hard time attracting the right type of people who are my ideal clients. Oh, I understand what that is like. It is so difficult to get the right people because there's so much noise out there. What have you done so far to try to get that, to try to find your ideal clients? And it doesn't matter what their struggle is. Make sure before you jump to the next question or to a story about yourself, you're showing that you understand how they feel, because that's where trust is built. What do they want most is the next thing they're going to care about. What is that desire? What is that drive? What is that passion? And whatever that is. So let's go back to the website builder example. I would love to open 4 development centers around the nation and franchise out this model that I have because I think it's the best way to build websites for businesses. Wow, that would be amazing to have 4 different franchises following your model. So once you get to having 4 franchises, what does that look like for you? Where would you be? How would that work? And as you go through this, make sure you're giving them immediate value. I will tell you the number one question that has got me in a relationship of trust with people that is mutual is that question A under give them immediate value. How can I help? What can I do to help you? And I will turn right around and say, have you ever tried? In fact, I had two calls today before this meeting that with new clients, never met, never brought into the unicorn universe yet. And during the middle of the call where I'm just exploring the relationship, we got into this second date phase. And I love watching them light up when I say, have you ever tried? One of them was just about marketing. Well, have you ever tried collaborating with a company that does this? And her eyes lit up. She goes, wait, I'm taking notes. Hold on. What was that again? And they come away from a very brief conversation with immediate value and trust built. Go to the next slide, Daniel. So after you have dated, after you gain trust in this relationship, it's time for define the relationship conversations. And so for us, that's, are they a contact or are they a unicorn? And that's what we're talking about here. And it's okay that you decide after dating somebody not to marry every person you date. Just like in business, it's okay after dating somebody to not to decide to do business with them, and that's fine. It doesn't change who they are as a person, doesn't change who you are as a person, and it doesn't devalue either one of you. And I think a lot of times we worry that if we don't jump in and try to help such and such person, they're going to see us as something bad. If they're a contact, if there's someone that, you know, doing business together doesn't feel like it's a give or a win relationship for us, and I would tell you, we have toxic relationships in business as much as we do in personal life. And those look like those customers that you decided to go ahead and say yes to, even though it's not really what you do, but you really feel like you needed to help this person, but they really couldn't afford your services. So you discount it massively and they spend all your time and effort trying to do something you really don't do just to help somebody so that you're a nice person. And it ends up in this toxic relationship. If it's not a good fit for you to keep connecting with, perfect. Make sure you tell them, I would love to keep in touch. How would you like to keep in touch in the future in case something does come up? And honor that. If they say, hey, let's touch base again, maybe in 6 months. All right, put that on your calendar. In 6 months, I'm going to call this person, or I'm going to email them, or I'm going to whatever. Because you're still keeping that respect of you're a pearl in my strand. And even if we never cross paths again, you've added something in my life because I got to connect to you. And I'm respecting how you want to stay in contact. Now, if they are a unicorn, if they are the people you want to connect with, immediately your thoughts go to, what can we help you with the most? And we go back to some of those conversations and repeat them. And another one that I love is, who would you like to connect with? Well, I really need to connect with somebody who can help me with operations on the back end that does ... Okay, great. Let me make that conversation happen. Let me fill that gap for you. And now it's time to introduce you to this universe. So really quick, before we jump any further, I want to make sure, does anyone have any questions about the way I walked through the strand of pearls, the dating scenario, or how to become a masterful connector by connecting to another person? And I'll wait just a couple seconds, and you can throw it in chat. You can unmute whatever you need to if you've got a question. Okay, I think we're good. In that case, I thank you guys for coming, and I hope you got something out of that.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. Much appreciated. So next up, we've got Michael Gray, as we said, the Chief Creative Unicorn. He's going to be talking about what a connector is, and then the 10 commandments of being a connector. So I'll turn that over to you, Mike.
Hey guys, so thank you so much for coming over the rainbow and riding this rainbow with us today. We're really excited about working with you, and I think a lot of the people on here are connectors, but it's often wondered, like, where does that that name come from? So Daniel, if you go to the next slide, there's a book out there called The Tipping Point, and if you guys have not read it, I highly recommend it. And there's what Malcolm Gladwell has defined is through a sort of coded approach to this, is that there's 3 archetypes in business. 1 is connectors, 2 is mavens, and 3 is salespeople. I've definitely identify myself as all three, and as entrepreneurs, more than likely you will as well. But what I really found is that the word connector really is sort of the essence of who I am, and really where I find that I experience the most joy. And obviously, in your business, you have to do, many, many things. You have to wear many hats, but it's always great to feel, it's always great to have, to be in your lane, right? And to be in flow, to wear the unicorn mask like we do, because when we wear the unicorn mask, we're just having fun. And I really enjoy being a connector. Next slide. This is Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know if you've ever seen him before, but he's an interesting looking cat, right? So if you don't think you're good enough, or you look a certain way or anything to be a connector, it actually works in the opposite direction. Some people have called him kind of a Napoleon Dynamite with swagger. But this guy has talked about connection and has created more connection and probably more deal flow in the business community than just about anybody. So I just encourage you to just, jump out there. Next slide. So for this event, we're going to just focus on the connector. I would highly recommend reading the book and figuring out, are you a salesperson? Are you a maven? Are you a connector? I think many of the people on this call are connectors because you've already identified yourselves as one. But here's the definition of a connector that he defined. He said, a connector is someone with an extraordinary knack of making friends and acquaintances. Gladwell said that the connectors are an elite group of people so expert in cultivating connections that they're the reason we are all connected. And I've actually, it's a kind of a humbling thing. It's not being braggadocious, but just realizing when I'm in a room with some people that I brought together and others that have come together, and like going back to Utah or going back to, one of my places where, I really have my people, that's actually a true statement. And it's amazing what happens beyond that initial connection, right? And so you want to cultivate that. Next slide, please, Daniel. So today I just want to quickly touch on the 10 commandments of a connector. We're not going to get into every single one of the slides. We're just going to rifle through really quick. So the first commandment is don't judge. It's often said, don't judge a book by its cover. I think we all do that in some form or fashion, but I found that the most interesting people that I meet are people that I least expect. And so I'll tell you a little story about that in a minute. Go ahead, Daniel. The next thing is to be excellent. If you're going to show up half-hearted, you're not going to, come in with exuberance and excitement, and really, like Daryl said, really being able to listen to people and really get to the crux of what they're about and what they love and what their passions are, then don't even show up. Next. Serve well. We want to be great servants. We want to serve other people. We don't want to be self-serving. Next. We want to find the connectors. Being a connector is a great way to become a better connector is to find other connectors and work with other connectors. Some of the people that I've met in my life that I have the greatest relationships with are also connectors, because we just have so much fun helping each other out. Next. The fifth one is partner up. So if you can't do it on your own, then think about doing it with somebody else, hanging out with somebody else. We really believe that 1 + 1 equals a billion, a trillion. It's exponential. Partnering up is critical, and you can really create, a great synergy. And you can also, it's very helpful to be able to have somebody who's a good complement to you, right? Next. I just want to read this quote really quick. So Steve Jobs said, "My model for business is the Beatles. There were 4 guys who kept each other's kind of negative tendencies in check. They balanced each other, and the total was greater than the sum of their parts." That's how I see business. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. Even the great Steve Jobs, who knew more than anyone else and would tell you about it, is the first one to recognize how important it is to have a team and to partner up. Next. The other thing is to be abundant. Don't have a scarcity mindset. enough said. Next. You want to be abundant and you want to be intentional. Keep going. You want to be authentic. Don't be anybody that you're not. People will know. Next. You want to be the purple cow. Don't go into a situation and think that you have to conform and be like everybody else. Be who you are, but also step out there, whether it's wearing a hat or doing something a little bit different. People recognize that. They notice. Next. You want to start small. You don't always have to go big to go home. That's a great quote too. I believe in it. I believe in going big and go home, but sometimes you got to start small. So be willing to start with a relationship and start with the friendship first and see where it takes you. Next. And lastly, you want to stay in flow. I have experienced this one more than anything else. We'll get more into that in the future, but I've been in meetings where I've met people and then literally they say, hey, can I take you to lunch right after that meeting, and go right to a lunch meeting. Be willing to just do what the time allows, right? If it's nothing's on your schedule, or even consider moving your schedule if you feel like it's the right flow. Next. So I just have 2 quick testimonials about being a connector I want to share. I think they're kind of fun. So the first one's about Jackie Chan. I met Jackie Chan through another friend of mine who I actually met going to a networking event. He was right next to me and he told me about how he's working on this amazing show. And I had never met Mr. David Liu until this time. And I said, wow, I love Jackie Chan, and I connected with him just on that level. And, it took a while. It took several years before I got to really know David. And the funny thing about it is, and staying in flow, and my wife would agree on this, at one time, my friend said, hey, I need to come to your house. Could I stay at your house? Can I stay? I have to come to Utah. I'm sorry. And I need somewhere to stay. Can I stay at your house? I said, oh yeah, sure. No problem. So, cause I got to know him and I liked him and stuff. But then he told me, but would it be okay if A-Pen would stay with me? And I'm saying, who is A-Pen? I barely know you. And so A-Pen ended up being Jackie Chan's right-hand man. And the long story short, we ended up bringing the Jackie Chan Green Hero Expedition to the Leonardo Museum in Utah because A-Pen ended up helping to identify where we wanted to put the show. So another story I have is about Nathan Bailey. He's my current partner in Humminbird. In fact, a few people on here know Nathan. But it didn't start out quite like you would have thought. So Nathan was at a networking event and I met him and I said, wow, I said, he looks like an interesting dude. And he was talking to somebody. And I think he said, he's like, oh, I just play a lot of golf. And somehow I thought he was a plumber. I don't know where exactly that came from, but I was like, oh, he's a plumber. Cool. But he's a really cool guy. Everyone seems to be enjoying themselves talking to him and all this stuff. And so again, not trying to judge a book by its cover, I just thought, hey, I'm going to go talk to this guy. I started talking to him. Little did I find out that he has one of the largest communities of Amazon sellers in the world. And now we're doing a project called Humminbird where we help people get trademark and brand registered and selling on Amazon. And we're actually working with quite a few of the people on this call, working with their agencies and getting work done right now. So you just never know where these conversations will take you. I'm just wondering if there's somebody on the call that would like to share a testimonial themselves about being a connector, one of the ways that maybe the 10 commandments would apply. Is there anyone here?
I can tell a story. This is Brian.
Great, Brian.
So it's definitely about your messaging and how you put it out there. There's many networking groups out there, and probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I was in a networking group. Everybody got a chance to speak for a short time. This gentleman stood up and talked about medical malpractice. And I hate the medical world and I hate the insurance world. So I definitely tuned him out. However, there was something about the way he spoke and the story and how he described what he did that actually, for some reason, I found myself listening. And at the end, a couple of faces popped in my head thinking, I wonder if this guy would want to know this person or that person. So I heard from him for about 60 seconds. At the end of the meeting, I spoke to him for about 10 minutes. We exchanged some information and I said, look, I don't know you, but I'm about connecting. I know somebody who's a financial planner. The financial planner, the reason he became a financial planner is because his dad's a doctor and his dad was notoriously bad with money. And so this financial planner became a financial planner because of that. And that being said, the financial planner only works with doctors now. That's his core audience. So I knew the financial planner because he was my financial planner. And because I knew this detailed information about him, when I spoke to the gentleman talking about medical malpractice, and I said, well, would you like to be introduced to a financial planner that only deals with doctors? That kind of sounds right up the alley of what you were talking about. The guy was ecstatic. He said, yes. I said, great, made the connection. Didn't hear anything back for about 5 or 6 months. And then all of a sudden I got an email from the medical malpractice guy telling me how his life had changed, all because of me. And I said, great, what did I do? And the shorter story is that introduction I made to the financial planner absolutely loved this guy, loved his background, everything about him, hired him on the spot. So I actually stole him away from the medical malpractice business, brought him into his financial planning business, paid for all of his series licenses. And, this guy basically sent me an email just saying he's making more money, he's happier, he's doing exactly what he's always wanted to do. He's got his licenses and he's kind of headed in this great direction. And I kind of just went, wow, like that, all that happened because you spoke for 60 seconds and you did a really good job entertaining me in 60 seconds about medical malpractice. So I just told him, I said, hey, yes, I made the connection, but you did all the work. So the thing that my wife always tells me, because I love to talk and I'm going to shut up after this, that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And I really try, when I hear myself rambling, I'm like, oh, I got to shut. I got to listen more than I speak. And when you listen, you actually hear stuff. And when you hear stuff, you can actually make stuff happen. So go out and make shits happen.
Love it, man. That's phenomenal because there's a lot of commandments that apply there. And the reality is that you don't know, you're like one relationship away from your destiny sometimes. And the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you stay in flow, the more those sort of opportunities happen. And they happen sometimes in spite of you as well, right? So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, if anybody is interested in talking to me further, or even going out to some of the events that I attend and the different people that I connect with, that's what we're all about here at the Unicorn Universe. And I really welcome all of you guys to our universe and look forward to really providing more value. We've certainly been in the herding stage, and now we're starting to really, trying to figure out ways that we can really monetize this for everybody concerned. So we really appreciate your patience and your time. And thank you for being our clients too. Some of you are our clients as well. So thank you.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Mike, for going through that. And Brian, I appreciate you talking about that. That's a great story. It just goes to show how powerful connecting is, and, making strategic connections, or even not. You just, like Mike said, you never know what can come from a connection you make. So Jonah, our head unicorn connector, has some experiences himself to talk about. He's been out there promoting unicorn and making connections with every single one of you on this call. I have been working with Jonah pretty consistently, and I think he's a force to be reckoned with. So I will turn it to Jonah.
Hello, my friends. I know all of you guys on this call, and I've met a lot of you at networking events, which is super cool because it's crazy how you can meet someone and have a simple conversation and then bring it to a coffee table or even to the house and just hang out and become friends. And my biggest thing is being a connector. I went from a warehouse worker to connecting with people in as big as buildings as a warehouse. So I'm just super excited to share these testimonials with you. And next slide, Daniel, let's talk about these amazing people. So the first person I met at a networking event, his name is DeMarcus Kelly. And I didn't really get to hear too much about him. I actually just saw his video and he was in space. Like his background is in space. I'm like, I like aliens. Like I need to talk to this dude. And he was a producer. I thought that was pretty cool. So I messaged him on LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn as much as you can. It is a very good connecting tool as well, especially for after networking events. So I messaged him on LinkedIn and I said, hey man, I really like your background. And he's like, oh, thanks, dude. He's like, actually, I saw you on, this event and I really liked your energy. And I'm like, I like your energy too. Let's have a meeting. So we talked for about 30 minutes. Through that, I found out he was a producer and he was linked to a guy named OG Ronci, as you see in the picture. And also, as you can see, he's actually pretty affiliated with D Drake. And it's actually one of his Drake's producers. And he actually helped produce one of his songs on his new album. And through that connection, just with DeMarcus, I got to meet his connection. So it's really cool how you can meet people and then find out about who they know as well to build your own network. Because as big as your network can never be too big. You want to keep growing and growing and growing and never stop, in my opinion. And that's where the magic really happens, is when you get all those opportunities out of all those connections you make. And through that, we were able to invite them down to Arizona and have a really cool event. And they got to meet a lot of cool investors. And it was just an amazing thing. If I never got to connect with DeMarcus on LinkedIn after this event, it would have never happened. So follow-up is a big thing, I will say, especially with connecting. And then there's another amazing guy named Chris Warner. As some of you probably know, he's on this networking event. I was talking to him and he started talking to me about voice acting and about being a voice actor. And I was like, okay, man, I'm not a voice actor. Maybe I could do like a good Mickey Mouse and Stitch, but that's about all I'm good for. You have like this Southern country accent, like you must be an actor too, right? And he's like, yeah, I was on a couple movies, like, No Country for Old Men. And then I was on Machete and I was like, wait, that's pretty cool. And so I just started talking to him more and he started to really open up to me and tell me about what he really wanted to do in the industry of acting. He was this Southern tough guy, but what he really wanted to be was a badass like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And so when I thought that, I was like, who can I introduce this guy to completely change his movement in acting? And I thought about Hummingbird or my dad. And Mike Gray literally took this guy from bad cowboy to badass original. And it's literally, if you see it on his LinkedIn, he shouts it out all the time. And he's told me about how much stuff has really changed for him. And he's getting into more movies and everything just because he changed his perception on what he wanted to be. And because I connected him to my dad. So not only do you make opportunities for yourself to connect with other people, but you make other opportunities for the people that you connect with as well to grow themselves. And that's about all I have to say. And I also wanted to finish with, if you ever get invited to an event and you have nothing going on, 100% go to it, because you never know what kind of magic is in that little house or in that room or whatever is going down. I went to a warehouse of scooters and I met amazing people and I wore a unicorn mask, and nothing's better about that. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm so happy to have you on this call, and I'm excited to start working with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonah. Like I said, Jonah's a force to be reckoned with. And he, as I mentioned, he's the head unicorn connector. So he will be promoting some of the events that we've got on our event calendar. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And so, you guys need any guidance on how to make the most out of a networking event, or if you're looking for one to attend, or if you're looking for anything specific, Jonah's your guy. You can ask him just about anything and he'll help make those connections to solve whatever it is you're looking for. So I'll turn it over to myself and talk for a minute just about bringing your network into the universe. So when it comes to, the very beginning of how we like to operate and where things really get started, At the end of the day, we're looking for, we call them unicorns. A unicorn is somebody who's passionate about what they do. They're looking to do good for the world. It's not all about the money for them. They want to reciprocate. They want to be out there helping other people. So that is kind of our definition of what a unicorn is. And when we find somebody, when you guys find somebody, anybody that could potentially be a fit for us, we really like to always start with the dream discovery. So those of you who are not connectors yet, if you decide to become one, would get a custom link that you can send to anybody who might be a good fit for us. And then that will give them a link to schedule their dream discovery with us after they fill out the form. That said, alternatively, if you would like to schedule that for them, you have that option as well. And more details and instructions would come on all of those steps too. But the dream discovery is really where we like to start, because we like to focus on, what are people's dreams? What are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? And what kind of gaps are there that are preventing them from getting there? And then this is where we come in, right? What kind of resources do we have that we can help them leverage so that they can achieve their goals, so they can achieve their dreams? And so that's why we start with that, because without knowing what the end result is that they're trying to achieve, it's really hard to give anybody honest, good suggestions on things that we think that can help them out. So like I said, dream discovery is really where we like to start. But there are other things that you'll be informed of later on that we can kind of speed things along. So anyway, who are we looking for? So, what's interesting about what we do is that we can actually help just about any type of business. But, as you all know, being business owners, there is a sweet spot, right? And so for us, currently, the sweet spot is an employee with about 10, or a business with about 10 to 100 employees. If they've got more than that, that's great. It's interesting how the larger the company, the fewer opportunities, but the larger the opportunities there are. So, whoever you resonate with, this is kind of who we're looking for. $1 million in annual gross revenue is good. Usually they can afford various services that we want to connect them with, and it just makes things a lot easier. The value we can give to companies that fit that criteria is generally higher. So than those who are really just kind of starting, don't have the money to afford certain things. However, as many of you should know by now, or might know, we do help with some of that initial funding and some of the kind of starting up companies, but it is more challenging. And one thing that's really important to know about how this works and how it affects you from a compensation standpoint is that it does take time. This is a long game that we're playing here. We're not looking for little tiny wins that we get paid $20 tomorrow on. We're looking to really change these businesses' lives by giving honest recommendations to services that are going to impact them in the long term. So, so that's just kind of a disclaimer. It does take some time for your connection to turn to revenue, depending on what they're looking for. But like I said, we have all sorts of services. It's not always the case. But because of the way that we operate and that longer term focus, it takes time, but it's definitely worth it. So that said, we're looking for companies in these areas: tech, software, finance, cannabis, retail and e-commerce, restaurants, direct to consumer goods, athletes and celebrities. Those kind of fit under the high net worth individual category, as well as people that oftentimes don't have the business part figured out. Take Chris Warner, for example, not saying he didn't have the business part figured out, but just saying that, Michael Gray really helped him implement a brand around his name and his recognition that he's worked so hard over all the years to achieve. So that's kind of more of what we're talking about when it comes to athletes and celebrities, helping them be a business of themselves. Because, so many people don't brand themselves. It's interesting that you wouldn't think that it's so important to have a business around your own name, your own person. But, that's what we're here to do, is help people see that there is value in that, and it can be extremely lucrative for them and anybody here. And so, yeah. So when it comes to the high net worth individuals, we've got ways to both minimize expenses if you're looking at it from a tax perspective, or generate further growth. So partners like Stephen Ross, who can help with infinite banking systems, partners that can help with wealth management if you're looking for like a financial advisor, as well as tax mitigation and other capital strategies. Some smaller, quick and easy things are business lines of credit. We've got all sorts of partners that will provide really great interest rates on lines of credit for a business that can really help them out in a lot of ways. So, and then finally, our connectors like you, connectors like Jonah, people that want to find other unicorns and bring them to the universe. So that's kind of it for who we're looking for as far as a general sense, but there's a lot more, of course. So if you find somebody and you're not sure, connect them. Okay. We want to help. We're here to help. That's what we're here to do. We're here to provide as much value as we can to anybody that comes through our path. So anyway, so that said, how do you guys get paid and when do you get paid? It's a very important question, right? So our commission structure is kind of interesting. And because we have so many different opportunities and strategies, it can vary. But the general version is a 3 structured program where if you send a referral through to us, you're essentially acting as the connector, and we pay 10% of the revenue that we get to the connector for anything that they send us. The second is 10% to the ambassador. Those are the people doing the dream discoveries. So these people are really digging in and finding the opportunities and connecting them and making the referrals and making the introductions and guiding them on various things. Now, anybody here will have the opportunity to be an ambassador if they would like. It's as simple as letting us know, and then we will start training you on how to do the dream discoveries, what that process looks like. Really dig into the opportunities and the strategies, the services that we have to offer so that you can really understand them. We don't let anybody just start doing the dream discoveries because it's a pretty complex thing at the end of the day. And we want to make sure that we're, like I said, providing as much value as possible. And then the closer, sometimes there needs to be another person that gets involved. And that is a case where the other 10% of the total 30 would be allocated towards somebody else. For the most part, generally the ambassadors closing, and then there are all sorts of opportunities where if you send somebody through and it closes and it doesn't need, more involvement, you can get all of the 30%. Additionally, we have other things that will pay 50%, and it'll always adjust, and we'll always let you know anytime that we've got a new opportunity. Once we've really ironed out all the commission details and the process of getting it all set up and connecting people, then we will inform people of that. And then finally, our commissions on bringing in solutions partners or connectors. So we're all about abundance here. And if you bring on a partner that provides services and you don't bring in any of the connectors that connect with that partner, but they're generating revenue, we'll pay a commission on that, as well as if you find a connector. Now, we don't go further than that. It's not connector, bringing on a connector, bringing on a connector. So it's really just you find somebody, and that's basically how that works. And then we'll get payments out about 30 days after you hit, there's a $100 minimum, but yeah, after 30 days of getting your commissions figured out, then we will get that sent to you. And we've got all the instructions to get that set up too. So next part is really just staying involved with the connection. So we have deal review meetings where we'll talk about, where things are at, what's going on with deals, questions around services, if they're, a common issue with solutions partners, anything like that. Those are kind of what we're going to be talking about on those meetings. Additionally, if you need like your own meeting for any reason, let's say you've connected 20 people in the last week and you want a status update, we're happy to do that. That's where we want you to email us, admin@unicornuniverse.io. We'll connect you with the administrative unicorns and we will get you taken care of. And then finally is the social media and groups that we'll be adding the connectors to for just group communication. Those will be a place for both connectors and solutions partners to talk about what they need, what they're looking for, and things like that. So yeah, so that's kind of it on staying involved with your connections. Now, we've got a bunch of things coming up, so we wanted to briefly touch on some of those. One, for anybody that does become a connector, they will be getting more and more information about the solutions partners we have, the services that we've got to offer, various strategies, commission opportunities, you name it. So for those of you who are solutions partners on here, you'll be getting an email to review and update the information that we've got for you, just so that you are comfortable with how we're promoting your services. Most of it's come from our onboarding discussions that we've had. And so it's generally good stuff that you guys have already talked about, but I just want to let you know that. So the other thing are invitations to networking events and our unicorn event calendar. So those who are connectors will get invited to those networking events and added to the calendar, not necessarily the event. So you can actually register for it if you want. And then, yeah, it's just more about
Okay, did he just freeze for everybody?
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he froze.
That's great, because he's running the slideshow too.
Yeah. Hey, David. Saw David Chase jumping in.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, man.
Well, that's delicious.
Technology at its best. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not.
And I'm guessing Jonah's frozen too, since they're in the same office right there.
No,
Am I
Jonah,
back?
you-
Am I
You're
Oh
back.
my gosh. Apparently our internet connection is unstable.
now we have echoes.
You sound like
Just
an
Jonah, mute yourself. Daniel, we lost you at the Pot of Gold event is about where you were.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the Pot of Gold event is ultimately what we are driving towards right now. So this is our revenue rainbow that we're all riding to the Pot of Gold. And that Pot of Gold event is going to be showcasing some of the solutions partners, services, opportunities, and all sorts of ways that people can, you know, generate more money and make some connections through there. So that's just kind of to let you guys know that's one of the things that's coming up down the road, and that would be on the event calendar, and we'll be promoting it just like we have been this one. So yeah, so that's kind of it on what's coming up. And so
Daniel, I'll just touch really quick on the 18th. So there is an event coming up on December 18th here in Arizona. Would love to have anybody who's out of town come in, fly in. It will be an investor a barbecue event. And there's also going to be a car show there. So if you're into cars, there's be quite a few car clubs that are come in. It's kind of like a warm up for Barrett Jackson, where we'll be doing another event. But if you're at all interested in coming to that event to either pitch a project, or if you're an investor and interested in, you know, being pitched to, and you're an accredited investor, please let us know. But we just hope that everybody can come out to the event. It's actually a free event, except for the VIP portion. So you'll be hearing more about that. Thanks.
great. Thank you, Mike. All right. So that's it as far as our presentation is concerned. We wanted to leave some time for question and answers. And so if you guys, you know, feel free to send them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, unmute yourself. We can get chaotic in here, but we want to make sure that we don't leave any questions unanswered. So please, if anybody has anything.
Crickets.
Crickets. Do we really do
Yeah,
that?
I got a question for you guys.
Go for it.
Yeah. So when we're talking about bringing people on, are these like exclusively folks that we've really known for a while, or is this kind of something where we could, work within a parameter set and kind of just, really integrate technology and also just our interpersonal skills together to find folks? Are you guys looking for that more personal connector, or is it something where we can try to bring people on in a massive way?
This is more to both. Definitely both. We have developed our tech in a way that we've got everything very well systematized to handle things in a massive way, which is why we're doing this now and not anytime earlier, because we want to make sure that we can provide the best service possible. So we've got everything in place to do that.
Sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so just to touch on that a little bit more, when you do become a connector, you will get your own link, and that'll, if you send that to anybody, it just gives them a contact form, asks them a little bit about what they're looking to achieve, and then that will track it for good that it was your connection. Then, yeah, so.
Because I'm just spitballing here. I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time, but a lot of those parameters that you laid out, the companies you're looking for, that's all data that can be sourced via API from the Small Business Administration or something like that, right? So you can get these massive rosters of potential clients, and then figure out what your strategy is to kind of parse that down to the people you want to communicate with.
Well,
oh yeah.
Can I add to that really quick though? Because I think that's a brilliant idea, Kyle, by the way. This, by the same token, obviously the most beneficial connections for us are going to be ones that you've already got that relationship of trust with.
Absolutely.
Because you're handing them over. And I'll tell you, the best conversations I've ever had with anyone is not when I've had to tell them why it's of value and sell them on something and send them over a detailed list of, you should do this because of this, and here's a form to fill out. It was when I said, look, you trust me, just trust me and have a meeting with this guy. I don't even need to tell you what it's about. It's going to change your life. And most of the time they go, yeah, absolutely. I know who you are, Daryl. Let me go do that. So those are by far the most quality conversations that we want to have. Yes, we want to take as many people as possible, and we're ready to do it. But the more that you nurture that contact before it gets sent to us, the better off that we're going to be able to help them, and the more beneficial it's going to be to everybody.
Sure. Totally feel that.
Yeah. A huge theme that we always try to focus on is intention. And so just having the right intention and, really understanding some of our services is a very good way to do that. And so, when you find somebody, it's, when I make a connection, at least, it's like, this has to happen. And like, it is every fiber in my being to intend on making it happen. And so that's just kind of how I like to think of it. So, yeah. What else do we got? Any other questions?
I have more if the room is going to stay quiet.
Just wanted to say thanks, guys, and very excited for you guys coming out and getting the connectors thing going. I am hands down excited for you guys, and this is a fun, and it's good to be with other people that share my values and have that nice big pipe dream and riding the rainbow.
Love it.
Thanks,
brother. Thank you, Luke. Thank you for joining. And yeah, and just so everybody knows, if you are not already a connector, for everybody that's registered for this event, we will send them an invitation to become one. And there's just a little bit of an onboarding process there, but you will get all the instructions too. So.
And really quick, kind of piggybacking on what we were just talking about, one of the reasons you guys were all invited is because we know you've got people in your network that already trust you that would be great in the universe. And we figure, hey, let's make sure that you know how to bring them in and introduce them to us so that we can benefit them on an even bigger scale together as we collaborate.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to say that yeah, it's just been great working with all of you. There definitely is a criteria to what we do. What I've said is you can't pay to become a part, you can't pay to leave. Because we don't want you to leave. So I think moving forward, it's just going to be it's going to be it's going to be, you know, it's going to have to be us who are going to have to be a little bit more intentional about bringing you guys together more often, so that we can create more deal flow and more opportunity and more relationship. And one of the ways we'll be doing that is definitely by creating some groups and allowing you guys to freely, you know, transact and work together and join and create friendships. So just, you know, this is kind of a little bit of a dream. It's a little bit of a utopian idea, because connectors have always sort of been the ones that, you know, I always say it's like you go out, you make the connection, and you don't even get a, you know, gift certificate from Olive Garden for the millions of dollars of work that you helped develop. Well, we're trying to codify that. We're trying to make this a place where the connectors are extremely valued. And we look forward to figuring that out with you.
Hey, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
This is Gary Lamb. Hey, a part of that, I would love to host a small group of that, like Topgolf or anything like that, and sponsor that event and get a small group together. So reach out to me, and
brother.
I would love to host the Bay and put a small group together. Would love it.
That's Jonah. You and Jonah get all over that, man, and I'll come out for it. So
sounds good.
We'll meet up, Gary. Let's do it.
All right. Any other questions? Kyle, do you want to fire off any more that you've got?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I love data. So I'm just kind of curious, you know, you guys have a phenomenal value proposition here. Do you guys have any real interplay with any sort of data systems, or are you guys like sourcing any data from your clients or your connectors, or do you guys do anything with any of the data that any of your, you know, connections have available to them?
So currently, and we don't intend on selling it, but we do collect a substantial amount of information from all steps along the way. It's honestly pretty intense how much information that we gather. You know, we're all about what's, you know, best for the person, right? We say business, but it's really a person on the other side. Business because it's a group of people, right? But yeah, so we have no intention to sell it, but we are collecting data. So
sure. And I'm just, the way I'm looking at that is just, you know, you guys are eventually, I see this succeeding big time for you guys. And I think that you guys have a lot of businesses in here. Eventually it's going to be something where you guys can't conceptualize in your head, like everything that's going on. There's just too many moving parts. But, you know, you have the data of what works for one person or what works for one subgroup or what have you, right? And then that can just kind of almost be a feedback loop into helping other people find more stuff, more services, more connections. I just see the data cascade in my head. It's like the new Matrix movie coming out, I think, on Christmas.
Yeah. Well, and so we're very specific about some of the questions we ask, both when we find a new connection, when we do the dream discovery, just to figure out, you know, what kind of categories they fall under. And we ask the same questions as far as, you know, when we talk to a solutions partner, who they're looking for, and those two will match up with each other pretty well. And so then we'll, over time, as it gets larger and larger and we have more data, we will, you know, get more granular with the connections and absolutely have it systematized in a way that it's less mind power that it takes to make the connection and more computed with a verification and introduction.
That's awesome. That's
I think to that effect, right? Like that the future of this is some sort of level of gamification. Just because, you know, if we're playing a game, we're, you know, we're proceeding through a gamified sort of environment and experience, a lot of that can be taking place through the game rules. And, you know, we can be, you know, best utilizing that data in a fun way so people don't even understand that it's actually happening. So that's really our, you know, kind of the next step here is that we're going to gamify what we're doing. And obviously the cartoons and the characters of this and stuff are all about that. And so if we're not going to have fun with this, I'm just not going to do it, guys. So I know that all you guys are ready to have some fun. And so let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. And just so everyone here knows, our mission statement is to foster a community of unicorns creating joy. It really is what we're after. So this is the very first most important part of it is the connectors, right? Because there are unicorns. The solutions partners are our unicorns. Without the connectors, though, without people finding people that are unicorns, it just won't work. And we are all about having fun with it and yeah, just making it a good time for everybody.
Hey,
So-
I want to share a quick story because I don't know if you guys, some of you know Debbie Black. So she's become, like my sister from another mother. And she, she's an East Coaster. So I got to know her really well. We kind of like bond on the East Coast side of things. But last night she said something that really just struck me. So I made an introduction to this guy, Andrew Kolikoff, and anybody who wants to attend an event called the Secret Sauce here in Arizona, you're my guest. But I introduced Andrew to Debbie. They're both, Jewish people from the East Coast. And so they have way too much to talk about. But Debbie made the comment, she said, hey, I met this guy, Mikey and Mickey, and all these different guys that Andrew introduced me to, and Mike's introduced me to all these people. And I haven't made a dime yet, but I'm having a lot of fun, right? So the point is, if you're having fun and you're going to continue these relationships, the money will come. I always say it's people, not projects. And in my life, I've noticed that, some of the most rewarding things, both financially and also personally, have come as a result of having fun and just making friends. So thanks for being our friends, our unicorn friends.
Oh yeah, I agree. Kyle, you're the only person I haven't met on this call. Brian, I've talked to you for like 10 seconds total, a couple times, but.
You guys have a comment?
No, well, it's good to be here. I've gotten a lot of good snippets out of this, and honestly, some of the stuff, like Daryl, what you said earlier about the toxic relationship, that's starting from wanting to help somebody or maybe venturing outside of your real service expertise. Oh, that hit me like right in the plums, you could say. It was a really cognizant piece of information there.
Well, I'm glad that you could relate, and yeah, I did get your message on LinkedIn, by the way. Thank you for that connection.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question? I don't know if anybody else has anything in here, but I'm just kind of curious about the cannabis focus. That's a pretty specific industry. What do you guys?
So there's some people that we're working with that have a fund. It's a venture firm that has a fund that is focused on the cannabis industry specifically, and it's anything in the cannabis industry, from products to growing to what they're doing to source it, logistics, you name it, because they've got some investors who specifically wanted their money in that industry. So they created a special fund just for that. So right now we're looking at some of the people that we were already connected with and new people to try to find and fill out their book of deals.
Okay, interesting. I'm just interested because I had a short run consulting venture in Washington State in the cannabis industry.
Nice.
It's always, I always look at the cannabis industry as something where, like, I didn't have the funds to get involved in the production of it or the cultivation of it or the initial step, right, of owning a retail store or something like that. But I see a big market for the services that support the cannabis industry, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one of them that, yeah, right. I mean, and that's something that a lot more people can play in. That ticket's a lot more affordable. And I saw this, as a data guy, obviously, there's data services, cannabis services in Washington that we're just, basically pulling API data from the Washington State seed to sale system and giving it to cannabis companies, and they loved it and, bought it up. And I don't really see something at like the national scale for that, because obviously there's the interstate commerce clause. You don't really have that ability to, move stuff in between state lines, but we all know where it's going, right? We all know that eventually a stoner's going to get in that White House and they're going to unschedule it, legalize it, however you want to put it. I'm just thinking, there's no reason why you can't have something where someone would have, something that really is sourcing data from every API callable data set, getting that ready to be aggregated on a federal level, and then,
Oh yeah, and in fact, a couple of the people we're working with are companies that are doing just that. They're getting prepared for it to be a national industry and ready to pull that trigger. So I love if you've got any contacts, especially in that industry,
Yeah.
send them my way. Let's get on a phone call with them.
I'd love to. I'd love to. And obviously, I'm personally thinking about starting that kind of enterprise as well. Just sourcing the data, seeing what I can do. What's something fun with it, something that would be engaging, whether it's real business service or informational type stuff. There's just so much data out there and so many people that need it. Right.
I would love to chat with you about it and strategize how that would work.
Please, Daryl. I'd love to. I'd love to.
Okay, let's get you on my calendar.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you, Michael, for setting this up for me. This was a very nice day.
Nice.
Yeah, man, no worries. Yeah, that's what
Appreciate
we're
you.
all about. We're just getting started. I keep saying it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And Daniel, I think I got you for tomorrow, right? We're chatting tomorrow. Do I have a meeting with you tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe so.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that.
Likewise. Definitely. Yeah, thank you for joining.
Yeah. I assume is this a closing bell here?
Yeah, so I kind of jumped ahead on accident there, but I mean, if you still have another question, we do probably, we should be wrapping it up. Shoot them over. You've got all of our contact info.
Sure.
So by all means, if you have more questions, feel free to ask. We do want to end this with a challenge, and Daryl's going to run through that with you guys.
Okay, so here's my challenge to you guys. We've been talking a lot about connecting, and most of you I have met, and you are good connectors already. But a lot of times what we do is we kind of go through the rigmarole of the day-to-day of our lives and don't focus on being a connector and making connections with new people. So my challenge to you is this week. 5 new connections that you're just connecting with, not for a specific purpose, not because you want to go get them into a specific thing, but because you feel drawn to connect to that person, and then watch what comes from it. So I want you to go out and create 5 new connections this week. Whether that means you've got to get out from behind your computer and go out to an actual networking event for the first time in a few weeks, or that means you've got to approach the events you are going to in a whole new way. I want you to do that. And as soon as you keep in mind just simple little goals like this, where you kind of gamify your own life, you're going to notice that being a connector becomes more and more fun.
Challenge accepted.
Set.
I agree with that. And I just want to tag onto that with the book that I threw in here, which is The Introvert's Edge to Networking. Because so when I got started with Unicorn, when we got this started, I really was not much of a networker. It honestly scared me to death. So I didn't know how to communicate well. I didn't know how to open up the conversation. I struggled with keeping it going, but I've learned a lot and I thoroughly enjoy it now. And what's interesting, I actually just started reading this book, The Introvert's Edge to Networking, and it blew my mind. I wish I read it a year ago, but it doesn't matter because it's an amazing book. So that's why it's on here and why it's a book we recommend. If you feel like you don't have an edge because you're an introvert, you're wrong. You do. It's an amazing edge. I'm learning and implementing it every day, and I highly recommend that book. And the other one, Daryl's recommendation, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a very popular book,
which you guys are all probably very familiar with. And it covers a lot of the things that I talked about how to create a personal connection to every person. And it is the book that a lot of this connection science has been based on. And most of the people that are writing today about how to connect with people on a personal level in a business setting have taken ideas from that book written by Dale Carnegie years ago. And it's still applicable today, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of second what Daniel's saying, guys, because it kind of shocks people, but I'm actually an introvert. I'm not, I always say I'm Jonah's dad, right? Jonah is much more of an extrovert than I am. And I believe that he's going to surpass, my ability to connect. But I needed it. It was something that needed to be nurtured. But I think the biggest thing is that last point, stay in flow. So if you're willing to just flow and you're willing to someone invites you to an event and go. And the other thing is start inviting other people to events. when you invite other people to events, they really appreciate it. They walk away with so much value or relationship. Guess who they think about it, you know, when your birthday comes along, they think about you because they appreciate what you've done for them. There's some people in my life that as we develop our relationship and we get to know each other better, that I'd love to have also join us for some of these events because you know, they've been doing it all their lives in some cases. So yeah, these are two awesome books, and then the other one I think is The Tipping Point as well. So
yeah, great. Sounds good. Well, yeah, so that is the end of our presentation. Thank you guys for sticking through with us, and thank you all for joining. This has been thoroughly enjoyable. I'm excited to keep these going and keep making connections. So I'm going to give Jonah the chance to actually finish this up and send you guys with a little bit of energy.
You guys are awesome. You can own the universe. If you become the unicorn universe, we would love to have you. And thank you for attending our Rainbow Revenue event.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You guys are awesome. You can own the universe. If you become the unicorn universe, we would love to have you. And thank you for attending